G'day reefers, I'm Cam the Fish Guy. Welcome to Gallery Aquatica TV. Today we're back at Ernies Reef. Now this is a tank we featured a couple of years ago, and since then there has been some tremendous coral growth. We're going to show you all the systems that are running on this tank that allow for the corals and the fish to be so happy and healthy, and there is one particular secret that we're going to let you in on in a minute. We're also going to show you a semi-automatic water change system that's being used on this tank. So let's have a look at Ernies Reef, and I think one of the best things about this tank is the aquascape. Now as you can see, we have three main bommies. The left and the right bommies are made out of marco rock, and the central bommy is made out of Carib Sea shapes. Now you can't tell which ones are actually made out of which rock because the growth of the coralline and the coral is entirely covering the aquascape, which is one of the reasons why it does look so good. Now you can see the corals are predominantly SBS. It is a mixed reef. There are some LPS and some soft corals in this tank, but I'd call it an SBS tank because it is very heavy with acros, montes, Pasillopora and that sort of thing. Now, that is one of the reasons why we're going to talk about the success of this tank, because the secret is quite specific to SBS corals. Now, the shape of the bommies is one thing, but the position of them is also an important consideration with the success of this tank, because they're actually sitting off the back wall, probably about 6 inches, 15 centimeters or so, which does allow the 4 Gaia-style wave makers to push water around this tank. And you can see by the movement of the corals that the water flow is really, it's strong, but it's very dynamic. It's really one of the reasons why the corals are doing so well. It does mean that the position of the corals is particularly important. The LPS need to be in positions, as you can see the Giardini down here, where they're not being blasted by too much flow. But that is the key to a mixed reef tank, ensuring that you put the corals in the position that is best for them. So we'll have a look above the tank. We'll have a look at the lighting system that's running the Ernies Reef. Something that we often get asked when we're helping a customer set up a reef tank is how much lighting they should have on their tank. Now, the good thing about having top-end LEDs on your tank is that you can, of course, control the intensity and the color mix of your lights, but Ernies Reef is a 6x2x2 and it's running on 4 of the double puck AI hydras. And so I say double puck because there are 2 24s and 2 32s. So let's have a look at the lighting on Ernies Reef. Ernie's actually made his own rail for the hydras using connected. You can see this frame up here. They sit beautifully inside it. They're nice and secure. And he's also angled it. You can see it's higher at the back than the front. So the light is actually hitting the reef and there's less light on the glass. And whilst 4 of the double puck hydras maybe seems a little bit on the low side of light for this tank, you can see the results and the corals are going amazing. I think I'd probably add 1 extra if it was me, but definitely the light is doing great things for the growth and color of these SBS corals. Let's have a look at the filtration on Ernies Reef. We have a beautiful Hamali sump. So you can see the water comes in on the left-hand side, and we've got an Octo Regal 150S skimmer, which is pulling a beautiful amount of skim. The center has got some really healthy keto. It looks amazing. It's clearly doing very well for nutrient control. In this section here, we've got biomedia. You can't see it because it's been blacked out. And then the return pump in the right-hand side. Now we also have the auto top-up reservoir on the left-hand side. So it's all very neat and beautiful, very clean. But one of the best things about this system is the fact that you can access the sump from both the front of the tank, but also from behind. So let's go around to the back of the tank and we'll show you how good this tank is to work on. I love this about this tank. The fact that you can access the sump from behind, but also it means you've got this great space for controllers, for dosing vessels, all your supplements and things, as well as the power supplies. So being able to access the back of this tank is one of my favorite things about it. And it also does make for a beautiful little office area where you can work. So I particularly love the layout of this tank, and it has to be one of the best tanks that really suits the environment with which it's in. Another one of the questions that we get asked a lot about successful reefs is what supplements are being dosed. Now with Ernies Reef, it is primarily Triton, and we have the vessels just down here feeding in. So we have magnesium in this one here, we've got calcium in here, and the part 3A and 3B are in here, all dosing in. Now, as well as the Triton, we've also got additional strontium and Keto Grow. And I mentioned before how strong the keto is, how good it's looking, it's particularly healthy. Adding Keto Grow is one of those secrets to really get the best out of your refugium. And here we come to the secret as to why this tank is doing so well, especially for the SPS. And that is because it is being fed regularly with live phytoplankton. Now this tank gets phytoplankton 50 mils every single morning, and I think that's probably the difference between this tank and other tanks, whereby the corals are doing healthy in other tanks, but they're not really showing the same color and vibrance and growth as to this tank. And feeding SPS in particular with live phytoplankton is really the difference to get your corals to the next level. Now this tank also uses the range of LFS's own products, and Ernie along with Josh are actually the people behind this great range, and you'll be able to see them at Fragorama in a few weeks if you want to talk to them about their products as well as to Ernie about his amazing tank. Now it's time to check out the semi-automatic water change system that is used on Ernies Reef. So most of the equipment for the semi-automatic water change system is outside, but we'll just show you the piping that leads to it. And it starts here. So it comes out of the sump and it feeds down here, behind here, and outside just here. So now we'll go outside and we'll show you how the system works. We're outside where these pipes come out of the house, and before we look at where the pipes go to, I just need to point out something which is a bit of a curiosity. We have this Coke bottle just dangling here, and what it actually has inside it is carbon, and the reason for this is the air intake for the protein skimmer. It's drawing air from outside all the way into the sump where the skimmer is sitting, and the reason for that is because we want to minimize the amount of carbon dioxide going into the skimmer, reducing the pH. And the reason for the carbon is just to ensure that any impurities in the air are filtered out. So it's a bit of an unusual setup, but it's doing the job great, as you can see. So now let's follow the pipes to our semi-automatic water change system. Our two pipes feed into this big white box behind us, and we'll just get Ernie to open it up and show us inside. You can see that the pipes feed in to a UV sterilizer. Now this is a UV Twist 57 watt, and from the UV sterilizer into the chiller. And of course, in a Brisbane climate, the chiller is a particularly important part of a reef system. Now from the chiller, the water typically will go back through the second pipe into the aquarium, but this is where it gets interesting because we have a valve down here which allows us to very easily remove water from the system and pump water back in. And we do that by connecting a hose onto this barrel union which feeds to a drain. We open up the valve and it will then pump water from the sump out of the system. To put water back into the system, we have our pump, which goes into the IBC, and it then connects to this same barrel union. We then pump water back in here into the sump, and we fill the sump back up again. So this system allows for the volume of the sump, which is, I think it's 150 litres or thereabouts, to be water changed. And doing it this way means you've got minimal stress to the fish and the corals. You don't have the corals out of the water, and it's a very convenient way to very easily pump water into your system. It also means you can have your tank, your IBC, filled with natural seawater, which is one of the cheapest ways of getting natural seawater, especially where we come from here in Brisbane, Australia. So there you have it, the semi-automatic water change system on Ernies Reef. Just one of the reasons why this tank is absolutely thriving, along with the Triton, along with the Fido, along with the water flow and the lighting. All these reasons together make this an amazing reef tank. We've certainly enjoyed bringing this tank to you today, and we'll bring you more tanks like this on future episodes of Gallery Aquatica TV. But that's it for today's episode. Thanks for watching. I'm Cam the Fish Guy. Happy reefing.